Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Nanette and I am a 60-something-year-old woman in Northeast Florida, tracking my financial journey on YouTube as I count down the months and weeks and days towards a semi-retirement in middle October of this year. I need a new intro because, to be clear, I do plan on continuing to track my financial journey on YouTube even after I retire, so there's no implication whatsoever that I'm only doing this through October. But what I am doing only through October is budgeting out my monthly expenses using my income replacement category. Today what we're going to do is budget out my final paycheck from March. The net amount of my paycheck is what you see here on the screen in the ready to assign box, $2,506.77. I'm one of those people who splits out all of the payroll categories and anything related to my paycheck, but I already did that off screen. So we get to dive straight into YNAB's 5 questions. The reality question is the first one, almost the only one that I'm going to answer in this round. What does this money need to do before I get paid again? Surprise, it's got to pay my tax burden. I just filed my taxes a couple of days ago. I've already queued up the payment in the IRS payment facility, whatever it's called, on irs.gov. And I have to pay, let's see, it was $2,318. So I have created a tax holding category for that, and it will get to hold this money here for a couple of weeks because the payment's going to come out either on the 14th or the 15th, whichever day I queued it up for. So that money, going forward, starting in April or May, I am going to start setting aside a little bit from, at a minimum, 25% of the interest that I'm gaining on my high yield savings account, but probably a little bit more than that. I have no idea if what my company is withholding from my regular paychecks is going to be sufficient in light of the fact that I'm getting a big severance payout at the end of this year. If there's any way that I can, I'm going to try to bump the severance payout into next year because I think it'll save me literally thousands of dollars, maybe even tens of thousands, so on taxes. So we'll see how that plays out down the road. Right now I've got several other things that I am focused on, just trying to be sure that I have checked off all the boxes for everything I need to do prior to the retirement date that is looming a mere months away. All right, so that is done and dusted. Don't really have any large, less frequent spending that I need to prepare for that I haven't already. I don't plan to set aside anything for next month's spending because I've already got my income replacement category group that I'm using for that right now. And that's my cat that you hear. Goals, large or small, that I want to prioritize. I do want to go into the guilt-free spending category groups, specifically into play harder. And I want to set aside, I think I'm going to set aside this entire $188.77 for some extra garden supplies so that I can get some additional soil and whatnot for the raised beds out back. Pretty generous. If I do that, the goal is coded to top up to the next 100, so none of my it would have already been topped up for April, so none of my April money is going to add anything to that, but that gives me a nice generous group of money to mess with, and that takes us down to 0. But I did have a little bit of cash back that hasn't been allocated yet, so we'll move that into ready to assign, and that one I am going to put into the fun and adventures category that did not get a lot of love earlier in the year. So now we're done with that. That wraps up the March budgeting, but let's go ahead and dive into April. April has interest from my high yield savings account. So why don't we tuck all of that into oh, this hasn't been pulled in. So my savings category group doesn't yet have the, let me go manage the view, and we will add the new tax holding category to that. Should jump out at me when I scroll down to it. We'll see. Huh. I scrolled right past it. How did I pull that off? Boy, this is like watching paint dry, isn't it? Huh. I don't know how I've hidden it so well from myself. There it is. Yeah, we'll put all of that into tax holding, and then that is done. Now what I'm going to do is take the income replacement category group and take out, actually what I'll do is I'm going to go back into March and zero this out. That's going to move the money into, so now we have the 5,000 from the income replacement category group to use for budgeting in April. Same thing, we're going to go through the questions. What does this money need to do before I get paid again? First thing I want to do is go look at all underfunded categories. Nope, I'm going to go through them one at a time through these filters here. So in Life Will Out, for groceries and sundries and supplements, gas and personal care, we'll cover all of that, all the underfunded amounts there. Do good in the world, what are we going to cover and not cover here? I do want to cover gifts and Christmas. The Papa Payback, 300 more needed by the 30th. I'm going to slow down on that one. I'll come back to it before moving on. Nothing is needed here or here. For number 2 funds, yep, that'll work. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Papa Payback is the only one that I need to take off. Number 2 funds, I'm happy with what it's setting aside, and Not My Money isn't asking for anything. You'll see that this underfunded amount doesn't change even if I deselect that guy. So we will cover all of that. Let me go back into Papa Payback. And what is this asking me to do? Assign 300 to meet your target. What do I have this target? Amount to pay 300 the last day of every month. Yeah, I don't know that this looks quite right. But I am happy. I'm going to put 200 in here. That's all that I want to do for this. That's going to cover his cell phone and the $200 that I put in here. And I'll go revisit that target offline. It doesn't seem to be behaving the way that I want it to. That was defined, that was set up before YNAB changed their targets several months ago. Gosh, that's been quite a while. But that one needs a little bit of attention. Okay, for subscriptions and services, I am not going to be funding Amazon Prime. I will do Apple TV and Hulu and music streaming and Netflix, YNAB, and my very favorite YouTube Premium. I'll cover all of those, but I have Prime on pause for the time being, and I'm not ready to change that. Now, for the cat, I mentioned in an earlier video, I need to bump this up. For clinic costs, I think I need to bump this target up to 600. That is going to cover, I think it's just better to have, you did this month 600, funded 300. Oh, there, it fixed itself. It just took a little bit. Did it fix itself? Yeah, it wants another 300 in here. Okay, so I'm going to cover that. and go ahead and cover the 75 for all the things, which we'll cover the next time I need to buy food or treats for her. It should cover that. Business operations, internet, cell phone, just doing a quick scan to see if there's anything I don't want to. Not going to do the professional fees. I did not let him know that I'm not doing that, though, so mental note, reach out to my CPA tomorrow. So I'll cover everything but the professional fees under business ops. And under work hard, I do not know what my electric and water bill is for this month. I will look that up on my phone after reviewing car insurance, home insurance. Yeah, everything else looks absolutely perfect. So give me a moment and we'll look up what my bill is. More watching paint dry. Here it is. 318. Is it? Is it? Oh, I like this bill. $195.19 on April 9th. So, what has happened here? This is wrong. Oh, I guess it just put in what I did from last month. But I only need $195.19. I should use, oh, I know exactly why. I'm going to revert what I just did. The $197.54 is what I need to put in there. That'll be perfect. Okay, and what happened there is YNAB sees that I have an upcoming payment of $197.54. There's actually a service charge on that particular bill paying service, and there's another payment, another way that I can do payments on there, but not doing that right now. Under no ships will sink, we're only asking for $716.67, and that is $50 for car maintenance, $666.67 for home maintenance, both of which I am more than happy to set aside right now. Those are absolute priorities for me. I'm in the process of actually scheduling my AC replacement, and there's some other stuff that I'm doing in conjunction with that. So definitely want to keep that that particular sinking fund well funded. All right, and that leaves $1,260.11. Let's go back to the questions, though. So that was what does this money need to do before I get paid again. I also went into the stability question. Didn't tell you I was doing it, but I was looking at the larger, less frequent spending that I needed to prepare for. That's what we covered here in the savings group. Now we'll move on to what can I set aside for next month's spending. I still am not going to be answering that question since I have another 6 months of income replacement that I'm going to be using going forward. Creation, what goals, large or small, do I want to prioritize? Well, I do have a goal here in the investments category group, and it is to set to do $2,000 per month for a total of $24,000 in investments this year. So I'm going to go ahead and put $1,000 towards that for no good reason. I have been doing it in $1,000 increments. And I think I am behind in doing some record keeping here because I now have an automated transaction, a weekly transaction that is shuffling $5,000 a week over, which is, some of that is coming from my car replacement category group, and then the rest of it will be coming out of the investments category group. But I just haven't kept up with those. So when I reconcile my accounts, I'll get it caught up, and then I'll actually probably show you how those funds have moved over time. And then still have $260.11. Let's go look at underfunded categories and see if there's anything that hasn't gotten enough love that I really want to cover. So still not wanting to put any extra money in the Papa Payback because it's never more than $300 a month that So that target just needs a little attention. In subscription and services, nothing here, because I've got the Whole Foods delivery on hold as well. Fitness. I didn't realize that fitness had gotten, this definitely needs more, and it, well, that's interesting. These must not be included in my fixed cost filter up here. So I'm going to go fix that, because I definitely want to bring fitness and feed me into the mix. And that's going to make me want to reevaluate where I have put some of the money. I know what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do, since I kind of did things out of order. Oh, now I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, I know what I'll do is undo that last, that was the, let's undo a couple of things. No, it was the sinking funds. Yeah, I don't want to not do the sinking funds. All right, so I'm just going to hold off for a minute on the investments and go back into my underfunded category groups, and the ones that I was struggling with were the play harder items. So yeah, this is guilt-free. This is under guilt-free spending, but it's a fitness and feed me are definite priorities for me. So I've already given the Fun and Adventures a little extra love because it got missed earlier in the year. We'll leave that on pause for the minute. And Helping Hands still has more than enough in it for right now. And then investments, I'll hold off, or maybe, all right, so what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I'm going to take the $11.49 and put it here. And I really feel pretty confident about Helping Hands being right where it ought to be. And I'll go ahead and do $500 towards investments. I think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I feel really, really good about that. And if I go into overfunded, I am also content with my decision to overfund the garden supplies. I probably won't spend all of that $288, but it really feels abundant to have allowed myself that little luxury. Now, I'm really thrilled to tell you that I had a viewer ask some really tough questions that I'm going to attempt to speak to them a little bit. Cinnamon from Cinnamon Story, great channel. If you haven't seen it, I will link to it maybe in the show notes and also in the comments. I'm not great at doing that yet, but there's no time like the present to get to practice. So she has asked some really wonderful questions that I have to be honest with you, they're really hard for me to answer because I have really big feelings about the impending layoff, which is an opportunity to retire. I will get a small pension from the company, and you know what? I didn't actually include that in my calculations. But let me tell you what the questions are, and I'll answer a little bit now and probably a little bit more down the road. So first question is, what amount of monthly / yearly spending is comfortable for me? Well, one of the things that the experiment that I've been running, and if I wasn't clear about this on the call, in this video, I've been running an experiment ever since I was informed I would be laid off this year, and that experiment is budgeting out $5,000 a month for my living expenses, which is the exercise we just did here in April. I'm very comfortable with that. I feel like because my sinking funds are all in good shape, I think that level of spending should be something that allows me to do the things that are important to me. And the things that are important to me are supporting my son who is incarcerated, the fitness that the personal training and acro studio that I belong to, and I want to do a lot more of that. Keeping up with my food forest and the raised beds, the gardening that I do, where my intention, I'm not great at it yet, I am getting better at it all the time, but my intention is to grow as much of my groceries as I possibly can. I don't even think that I would hit 50% on that, but I really enjoy doing it, and I love when I can create enough abundance that I have an overabundance that I can share with other people. So maybe a retirement goal of mine would be to become very active in a food pantry where I would actually be able to share some of the abundance there. We'll see. You know, it's at the moment I would call it a stretch goal, but definitely something that I want to consider. Next question is, how much of that spending am I going to cover with my retirement funds, if any, and how much will I try to cover with active income sources? So I did a rough calculation. I'm finding it very difficult to put any kind of fine point on any of my retirement planning. And a lot of this is because I tend to be very self-service. I have not found a financial advisor or that I want to work with, in large part because every time I ask anybody if they have a financial advisor, they're in an AUM arrangement, and I'm absolutely not interested in paying a percentage of my wealth. I can't afford any of that percentage going to anybody else. So I'm sure that I will find somebody that I can pay an hourly rate to, but I just haven't been able to do that. So all of the things that I'm doing are on my own. And oh gosh, I hope I don't sound defensive about this. It's just the facts. That's just what it is. So I think it is safe to say that by the end of this year, by the time I get the severance payout, the amount that I will have in my retirement accounts, including my high yields, the balance in my high yield savings account, that number should be in the range of $600,000. And if I take that, if I were to take 4% from that and add in what I can get from Social Security starting in January of next year, that would still be at about $10,000, just under $10,000 short of the $60,000 mark, and that does not take into account the taxes that I would owe on any of the money or some of the money that I would take out of the retirement account. That doesn't intimidate me too much at the moment, because my severance that I did not include in that $600,000. The only thing I included from severance was the pro rata bonus that I'm going to get paid. That I'm going to put all of that straight into retirement savings, and the actual severance amount will put me in a place where I have at least 6 months of income replacement at that $5,000 mark. So that feels pretty safe. I won't have to dip into retirement savings right away. So long story short, it's way too late for that. I think these are the only questions that I'm going to answer right now. The other, well, let's just read the other two. If I were to take anything out of the retirement funds, how would I expect that to impact its growth and my new retirement target date? I don't have a new target date after this. What I'm going to do is, at the end of the year, I'm not going to work in November or December. The soonest I will work on generating any additional income will likely be in January, unless it's little bits of side hustle income that I can generate in November and December doing things that I love. I'm going to take that time to just reset and decompress and sort out what I want to do when I grow up. I love the work that I do. I basically am a project manager / product owner / scrum master in IT, however you want to look at it. I love working with teams to solve complicated problems. I love, I love so much about my job, but I don't like the pressure in the corporate environment. I don't like how there's a lot of talk about using agile methodology that prioritizes people over process, and yet they still set arbitrary dates that are unreachable and cause people unnecessary stress when we could be creating, I don't want to go on a rant about that. The bottom line is corporate America comes with an awful lot of stress that I'm just tired of, and I'm ready for a break. This is an extremely long rant that I didn't plan on having, but I'm going to blame cinnamon. It's either cinnamon or it's April Fool's Day, and I've lost all filters. So I have to really think long and hard if I actually post this video, but I'm going to give it a try. I'll listen to it again before I actually post it and make sure that I haven't said anything that I think that I will ever regret. But as you can see, big feelings about all of this stuff. Number 4 question is, if I don't take out any of my retirement funds, am I planning to just coast fire with the new job, or will I still be putting money into the market? That is an excellent question. It's going to come down to, depending on how well the refresh in November and December go, and how ambitious I am. It turns out I'm highly money motivated. I really enjoy making good money. I really enjoy the ability to make sound, sober, thoughtful decisions about my money. I don't know, this screen keeps going a little dead on me, and I don't know if that shows up in the video or not. I'll find out when I replay it for myself. I enjoy working with the current abundance that I have. I don't know what I have felt a little bit of constriction with the $5,000 limit that I set for myself, and that $5,000 limit is clearly a little bit more than I can generate with my current retirement funds when they're augmented with Social Security. And we all know that Social Security has some level of risk in it over the next decade, if not sooner. So I don't feel like I'm setting myself up for success. So odds are I'm going to need to generate more than that $10,000 shortfall, which means I'm really grateful for Cinnamon asking this question and for me taking the risk to answer it without completely having thought anything through. I think that means that I'm going to want to generate enough income that I probably could put some of that money into the market. How much it'll be, I don't know yet, because I don't think that I'll make that decision until the November-December timeframe. But that's pretty far from now, so a lot can change over the coming months. I think that I'm going to kind of bookmark these 4 questions. I think they're very thoughtful questions that might be worth my posing to myself at the end of every month until the retirement date comes. Let me know what you think. If you have hung in here this long and listened to this wild rant, please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate all the support that you offer just by watching the videos. If you like and subscribe, that's even just a little bit better. I don't have big ambitions for this channel, but I love this new hobby that I've got. And yeah, thanks for watching. Still got to work on the outro. If you didn't see my last video, if you do nothing else, go listen to the last 3 minutes of it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I really appreciate you being here.